Very good morning, and all present here. I'm Dr. G. Vijay Kumar, the Professor, Department of Agriculture Engineering, Sri Shanmuga College of Engineering and Technology, Sangiri Taluk and Salem District. Today I'm going to discuss about the topic of soil erosion and its principle. Soil erosion is defined by the soil particles are transported from or movement of the soil particle from one place to another place. So this is done by three process mechanics involved in three process or detachment of the soil particle, transportation of the soil particle, and the deposition of the soil particle. So first one is detachment. How the detachment? What is the detachment means? The soil particles are uh, formulated by the weathering of rocks. So the soil particles will be um along with the two or more particles, and the particles will be detached by external causes like wind or water, so that the particles will be separated. So this process is known as detachment of the soil particle. Once this detachment of the soil particles takes place, the next process will takes that is called the transportation of the soil particle. So when the wind or water velocities increases, automatically the transportation process takes place. So transportation is in this process the soil particles from is moves from one place to another place by its particle size distribution and its velocity of the water or wind. So that the particles will be moved from one place to another place. In this transportation stage, the particles will be moving or transmitted with a low distance by upward direction of the slope, whereas the soil particles will be moved downward with a longer distance due to the slope gradient. And finally, when the water or wind velocity is almost nil or reduces, the soil particles along with water or wind will becomes uh, static condition, so that the particles will be settling down from top to bed of the soil. So this process is known as deposition. So this process normally done during the water is at a static condition. Why? Because the soil particles density is a major component or major property for the deposition process or settling down the particles. So due to the higher density of the soil particles than the water molecules, the particles will be settled down. So this process is known as deposition. So this is the soil erosion, and how the soil erosion is forms based on its movement of the soil. So this also takes by three way. One is called suspension, saltation, and third one is the surface creep. So this suspension, saltation, and the surface creep, the stages of these soil particles, the stages of these three are based on its soil particles. So the soil particles are in different particle size distribution on the the surface of the earth. So the low density, medium density, and high density soil particles. So the low density particles will float on the air with the suspension process. Like the particle size will be 0.05 to zero point 0.1. The millimeter diameter particles will be float on the air on the spaces of suspension stage. And also the second stage, the medium size particle, from it starts from 0.05 to zero point 0.5 millimeter diameter particles will be float on the surface just below the suspension particles, since the density of the particle is higher than the suspension particle size. So and also it will be thrown out and transported from one place to another place. And the third one is called the surface creep. The larger size particle than the suspension and the saltation particles, the particle size is larger, so that its density will be increases, and that so that the particles cannot float on the surface of the earth, above the surface of the earth. So the particles will be creep on the surface of the soil. So this process is known as surface creep of the soil movement. So the soil movement will takes by the three process. One is called suspension, saltation, and surface creep. The next one is the types of soil erosion. Erosion is soil erosion is classified into two ways. One is called the geological erosion, and another one is the accelerated erosion. The geological erosion is also known as natural erosion or normal erosion. The accelerated erosion, also known as abnormal erosion or man-made erosion. The geological, natural, or normal erosion are caused by natural or geologically, whereas the accelerated or abnormal or man-made erosion are made or caused by acceleration or artificially, like wind or rainwater. So there are two different type of accelerated erosion is classified. One is called water erosion and the wind erosion. So the water erosion is soil particle erosion eroded by the force of water, and wind erosion is the causes of soil erosion by wind forces. Then there are five major stages of water erosion. That is what one is called the raindrop erosion or splash erosion. Second one is the sheet erosion. Third one is the rill erosion or micro channel erosion. Then fourth one is the gully erosion, and the fifth one is the stream bank erosion. So the raindrop erosion is also known as splash erosion. So this raindrop erosion is nothing but when the raindrops will hit on the soil particles will impact by the raindrops, so that the particles simultaneously detach and transport the particles based on its slope. As already I mentioned, the higher slopes, the soil particles will be moving low distance, and lower slope areas, the soil particles will move longer in distance by the raindrops. And also this why it is called as a splash erosion. When the rain is hitting on the soil particle will be splashed like. So this is called a splash erosion. And then second one is called the sheet erosion. In the sheet erosion, this is the advanced stage of the raindrop or splash erosion. In this sheet erosion, the thin layer of soil on the top soil will erode or washed out. So the thin layer will be removed from the surface of the soil. This erosion is called a sheet erosion. So it looks like a sheet, so that this is called a sheet erosion. And the third one is the rill or micro channel erosion. So this rill erosion is the advanced stage of the sheet erosion, and it will form as a rill. It's like when it increases the length and width and depth of the soil cut or soil erosion is takes larger in the size than the sheet erosion, so that makes as a smaller sizes of channels. So that is called micro channel erosion, we call it. And the fourth one is the gully erosion. So when the rill erosion or micro channel erosion is causes much more with the heavy runoff velocity, then the width and depth of soil erosion dimensions will be increases. So that is called a gully erosion. So that in the gully, the lot of runoff water will moves, and the erosion is also very heavy. And the gully erosion are classified into two ways. One is called active gully and inactive gully. Active gully means when the time increases, the dimension like width and depth of soil erosion particles is also increases with respect to time. That is called active gully. Inactive gully means the depth and the dimension such as depth and the width of soil erosion is never change with the time increases. So that is called inactive gullies. And finally, the stream bank erosion is known as the embankments on the streams. The soils available on the stream banks will be eroded by moving of water on the streams. So this is called right bank and the left bank soils will be eroded due to the curvature and its velocity of the water. So this is called stages of water erosion. Thank you.